Okay, I had to set it myself. Marilee will be home momentarily to answer your questions. We were hoping to bring Dr. Jason Fung on tonight, but he is having technical difficulties. Go figure. We all have technical difficulties when it comes to this. All right, I actually have a lot of things I have to cover anyway, so we will make lemonade from the lemons. Max Autophagy, day 4. That's when it's happening. So right now, you are in max autophagy. I mean, I'm telling you, it's happened. Most of you, we'll talk about this, are fat adapted and are in a state where your body's literally getting rid of all the bad stuff. And this is what sets up day 5, tomorrow. Tomorrow is when the stem cells are at their max. And believe me, you have more stem cells today than you did yesterday being produced. But tomorrow's max stem cell day. Today's max autophagy. I mean, it's really starting to happen today. So it actually starts max autophagy tomorrow as well. But it really is when I showed you the numbers and looking at the ratio, I got several emails saying, okay, I'm at the target ratio. However, I don't feel well yet. Very common because you're not keto adapted. So many of you who haven't been fat adapted, and that's kind of why we want to start ketosis and fat adaptation ahead of the fast, intermittent fasting, diet variation, because then you get very fat adapted. And by day 4, our brains are using the ketones. So I think the numbers that someone gave me in an email were their glucose was 5.1, awesome. However, and their ketones were 4.4. And she's looking at that, and she watched my video last night of how to know you're in that magic ratio. And she's like, I'm there, I'm better than there. Why aren't I feeling well? Because your brain's not using the ketones. Simple as that. Your brain's not keto adapted. And even your cells are not truly yet adapted to the ketones in the fat. So it's struggling along. The glucose is low. And that's why you feel horrible, because your brain needs the glucose still. But by tomorrow, your brain, and maybe even later today, because that was an email this morning, your brain will shift over to where it's utilizing the ketones, and now you'll be golden. So hang in there. My numbers today were glucose 57, and it was probably lower later, but my ketones were 6.8. That's a good ratio. So if I divide 57 by 18 to get the European number, 3.1 to 6.8. So far better than the 1-to-1 ratio that we need to make sure we're starting max autophagy. So I'm really maxing out my autophagy. By tomorrow, my glucose will be probably low 50s, maybe even 40s. I worked out actually today. So I went on a bike ride, more aggressive workout than I did the day before. Just experimenting, just to see if it would get me a little hungry. I worked out pretty hard. I went pretty hard. I think it did. The first time I got hungry, ironically enough, was day 1 at about 5 o'clock on my little bike ride. I got a little hungry, but normal for day 1. Day 2, I didn't get hungry at all. Day 3, not at all. And today, I spiked a little hunger, and I think it was because I went pretty hard on the bike. So that can happen. But my numbers obviously are really good, so I think I'm confident about that. Okay, this is a question that I want to talk about. Many of you are saying, I don't feel well, my glucose isn't dropping, ketones are okay, not great, not hitting the magic ratio. And again, some of you tomorrow will be like, okay, Pompa, you're crazy because here it is tomorrow. You said I'd feel better. I still have high ketones. I still don't feel better. What's happening? Why are I not fat adapting, keto adapting? My numbers are okay, but I still don't feel great. Okay, I said I was going to talk about most of these really bad symptoms are driven from toxicity. That's why I said some of you will need the bind and the cytodetox in the fast tonic, because that helps with a lot of the toxic release. Where are most toxins stored? Your fat and your fat cells. So many of you, just by burning fat, you actually start releasing toxins endogenously from those fat cells. And they start to redistribute, drive inflammation, and you don't feel well. So that's one part of it too. However, it goes even deeper than that, because many of us have many, many deep stored toxins, neurotoxins that affect our cells, and our brain that keep us from burning fat. The number one cause of weight loss resistance is toxicity. I would argue the number one cause of people who can't control their glucose and insulin, toxicity. This is the big issue. The number one problem with hormones, toxicity. I had a client today, and she had realized she was doing everything right. She still could not get solidly in ketosis. Didn't matter. And she was not fat adapting at all. Well, what we learned was that her liver was not converting T4 thyroid hormone to T3. And we're going to talk about that more. So many of you have seen me, I'm going to use this because that is not working. Many of you have seen me draw the cell. And the cell is the key. On your cell, you have all the receptors to the hormones. And just mentioning thyroid hormone, and I think I did this on one of the other videos. So in this gal's case, and this was a client today, she wasn't converting T4 to the active form. This is the stored hormone. And I could go through many hormones. I could go look at estrogen. I could look at testosterone. I could look at insulin. All of these hormones have to attach to these receptors for you to feel well and burn fat for energy. As a matter of fact, insulin is the fat-storing hormone. Testosterone and estrogen play a role. There's another hormone called leptin, thyroid hormone, all fat-storing, fat energy-providing hormones, right? So T4 has to convert to T3. Most of that happens in the liver, and most of it. Also, so when people have very toxic livers, they don't make that conversion well, and that was her problem. Here's the other problem. When you start lowering your insulin, which will happen in a low-carb ketosis diet, especially when you're on it a long time. Now remember my conversation with you about diet variation. When you're on a low-carb diet for a long time, what happens is insulin starts going down, and this is where the story is women don't do well with low-carb diets or ketosis. Well, the problem is that insulin goes down. You need insulin right here to help make that conversion. So if you're already struggling from toxicity, or just because your thyroid, which is very affected by heavy metals like mercury, is struggling, then when your insulin goes lower, now you struggle even further to make that conversion. You have to get T3. T3 is the one that connects to the receptor, gets its message in the cell, and you feel good. So if you're not converting, your blood work oftentimes looks normal, but you don't feel well. If you take T4, which is thyroxine or synthroid, that's what your doctor typically gives you, it makes your blood work better. But if you're not converting it, you don't feel better. So your hair is still thin, your skin is still dry, and you're still not burning fat for energy. So that was the case today. So with diet variation, we actually gave her more carb days, high protein days, etc., to help with that conversion. However, in this person, we did that, it didn't work because it was still toxicity. So toxicity plays really the superior role. Now here's the other problem. Toxins come in and they make their way to this membrane, and they inflame the membrane where these hormone receptors are. They blunt them. So let's say you're making the conversion, but the problem now is toxins drive inflammation, and now the hormone, the active form, still can't get its message in the cell, and you're still not burning fat. This is happening to many of you. This is where the cellular detox work that I teach. I've done many cellular healing TVs on this. Go watch them. But we use cytodetox, actually is part. It's the vehicle, it's a binder, it's a chelator that grabs toxins in these membranes. Not even just that membrane, the mitochondrial membrane where you make your precious ATP and energy. That makes you think. That helps you have energy. That helps you detox, and every process that makes you feel good, you need ATP for. So in this membrane, it's very sensitive to toxins. When that inflames, now you don't burn fat. And by the way, this is where you burn fat for energy. This is where you make ketones. This is where it all happens, the mitochondria, because that's where you're burning sugar or fat. So when we're getting you to be efficient fat burners, yeah, that's happening right here in the precious mitochondria. So toxins are really affect the mitochondria. So part of fasting, the best part, is the autophagy gets rid of bad ones, and we're able to make new mitochondria, and therefore we become more and more efficient with every fast. Even those daily fasts that we talked about in the feast-famine cycles, the diet variation, even in 24-hour fast, we get enough autophagy that we get rid of bad mitochondria. But the problem is this: if you're toxic, even though you're making new ones, they keep destroying them. They keep making bad ones, or making good ones bad, I should say. So that's where the detox comes in. It's really, this is the people who fast and feel like, I felt better and now I'm not. Their toxins are all the autophagy and all the new cells and the new mitochondria you're making, they're just being affected by the toxins. Very, very important. These membranes are precious, and they're so, I do complete lectures on just the membrane. By the way, this membrane is actually how you change your DNA from bad to good. When your membranes are healthy, you have good, healthy DNA. When they become blunted like this and toxic and inflamed, now you start turning on bad genes. How do we turn off bad genes? There's a stem cell biologist, actually, Bruce Lipton. He wrote a book called The Biology of Belief. And he talks about how fixing the membrane is actually how we change our bad DNA. It's called epigenetics. So a toxic membrane, and membrane inflamed by toxins, you're blunting all of these hormones from getting their message in the cell. So it doesn't matter. You can take more hormones, bioidentical, whatever it is, more thyroid hormone, but you're not feeling well. And sometimes it works a little bit in the beginning, but then it doesn't matter because the receptors are blunted, driven by toxic induced inflammation. And believe me, this is the epidemic. When you hear inflammation causing all these different diseases, well, it does, but it's really toxin-induced inflammation. It's really cellular inflammation. So the cytodetox plays a role in grabbing these toxins even in the cell and moving them out of the body. Now I'm gonna draw. That's your gut. That's your intestines. Can you see that? Marilee,
yes.
Okay, so we'll answer questions in a minute.
Yeah.
So this is your gut, and the toxins make their way from the cell. And actually, I'm going to sneak a liver in here. Believe it or not, that's a liver. I better tell you that's a liver. Okay, that's a liver, and here's your gallbladder, and this is your gut. The toxins make their way, most of them, to the liver. And then in the liver, most of them bind up with bile. That's what you need to digest fat. The problem is your liver dumps the bile in your gut to digest fat, and it carries the toxins with it. Here's the bigger issue. In the lower intestine, your body's designed to reabsorb the bile. And the reason it reabsorbs the bile is because it doesn't want to recreate it again for digestion. The problem here is it carries the toxins back around. It's called autointoxication. So here's where we put the product Bind. I've been telling you all that if you don't feel well to take Bind, because it doesn't leave the gut. It sits in the gut, so it doesn't interfere with your fast, but it keeps these toxins from redistributing, because during the fast, a lot of toxins are making their way to the liver, binding up with bile, and the problem is you're bringing them back around, and then they start redistributing. So Bind prevents that. Cytodetox brings the toxins from the cell to the bile complex, and this is the catcher's mitt. That's just a part of what cellular detox is. I teach what I call my 5 R's of how to upregulate cellular function. Real detox has to occur at the cell. Bottom line, everyone down here is doing colon cleanses, liver cleanses, all the things that I call poopers. They just kind of make you go. And that's fine. There's not a problem with that because you need to go. But the problem really is, this is why people don't feel well. This is why you don't burn fat efficiently. This is why you're not metabolically flexible. This is why your hormones are you're not hearing your hormones. This is why you have hormone dysregulation. And believe me, this is most of why people don't feel well. And what are most doctors doing? They're just giving the hormones, right? It's not the answer. The answer is the cell. But when we look at what's causing the metabolic problems, being fat burners, not losing weight, hormone dysfunction, it's the toxin-driven issue, the inflammation of the cell. So detox has to go to the cell. You don't feel well until you fix the cell. And that's the only way you get well. So that's something I've been teaching for gosh, over almost 20 years. But when it comes to why so many of you are having these metabolic challenges, unfortunately, that's the reason. Look, I trained hundreds of doctors around the country in this process. It works. This is real detox, and this is how we're getting thousands of people's lives back. So, and I'll tell you, oftentimes I draw the brain here. I'm going to draw one more thing. That's actually not bad for me. That's actually pretty good. So if I put it, look at that might be my best human I've ever drawn. Okay, now here's the key. Many of these toxins, they're neurotoxins. That means they go into your brain and they make their way into the brain. Guess what's in the center of the brain? Your pituitary hypothalamus. That probably means nothing to you. That's your control tower for your thyroid, which is here, your adrenals, which are down here, your whole endocrine system. That means your hormone system. When most of these neurotoxins, especially things like heavy metals, you have silver fillings, 50% mercury, that mercury vapor makes its way, according to studies, up right here into the pituitary. Most of the neurotoxins affect different parts of the brain, but when that pituitary is affected, what happens now, all the downstream hormones are affected. So toxicity can affect you here in the brain, here in the conversion in the liver. It can affect you here in the gut, which is actually part of your bacteria control how your brain works. It can affect the cell. It can affect what's inside the cell. So multiple places, it really affects how our hormones work. All right, so I want to take some questions now because this was a lot of really important information. So because Marilee is home, she will take questions. And hopefully we can have a guest on tomorrow night. But listen, stay tuned tomorrow night because it's how to break the fast. Because we are breaking our fast either tomorrow night for some of you. You can break it tomorrow night. Or I'm breaking mine Friday morning because I'm going to have a special video for you Friday morning. And so you're going to have to kind of wait, or you can watch the preview. And it's something that I'm getting done post-fast. You'll have to wait and see what it is to maximize my stem cells. So, and my healing and my basically longevity. So wait till you hear and wait till you see that. And I'm interviewing a very special doctor on that special Friday morning. But tomorrow night's live will be how to break the fast. And I'm going to say this, you could blow all of the healing, all of the stem cells, everything you've done if you don't break this fast correctly. Your digestive system is off, certain enzymes are lower. It has to be done right. And also, I'm going to show you how to re-inoculate. So remember I said we starve down all the bacteria, and I'm going to show you how to bring up the good ones so we fix dysbiosis. Bacteria are really important. I'm going to talk a lot about that because I mentioned that bacteria here are actually how this works. We realize that bacteria also affect our good and bad DNA. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about how to maximize that as well. So how to break the fast, please don't miss that video because all this hard work, my gosh, imagine if you didn't do it correctly. And I have a very specific system on how to break the fast and how to re-inoculate. Okay, Marilee?
2 to 3 days in, still with heartburn.
Bind. Take the Bind product. That is typically the solution for that. And by the way, here's why that's happening. To flip this back, here's the liver. The liver, you're dumping toxins into the liver, into the bile, and the bile's dumping in that toxic bile complex. It's called GERD, and that's what's causing the heartburn. So the Bind can give you some relief there. But honestly, you need some major upstream detox. I'll tell you right. I promised you guys I was going to tell you a little bit about coffee enemas. A coffee enema would be helpful too, and you can do that during your fast, so I would recommend it. My team that's listening, please give them the instructions in the link to how to do a coffee enema. We have that, but briefly, if you just make a couple cups of coffee in a French press, organic, good coffee, and you buy a coffee enema bag, or I have a stainless steel coffee enema. And by the way, I have Facebook videos on this and YouTube videos. If you put Dr. Pompa coffee enema, you will find them. So they're there. But you'll see me or my son lying on the ground. I can't remember which way it went.
Daniel.
Was it Daniel? Okay. But anyways, you basically take the one that sits in the gut, as the catcher's mitt, and you take that 30 minutes before the coffee enema. Then you do the coffee enema, which you can watch how to do. It's pretty easy. What coffee enemas do is the caffeine gets absorbed in the portal vein, and that goes right to the liver, and it pushes the bile out, and that's why it cleans the liver. The bile, the toxic bile, is what makes the liver run slow. And by the way, that's where you need your hormone conversions, so it's really important to keep this liver clean. So we push the bile out, but you don't want to just push the bile out that holds the toxins, because you'll reabsorb most of them. So we take the bind 30 minutes prior, and that is the catcher's mitt. So that's what you need, and many of you will totally feel better. And again, it may be temporary, because up here at the cell, you have the issue. Okay, so cellular detox, but clearing the liver is a really important thing. Okay, next question.
Just someone that's working on things and wants to do repeated fasts, when can they do another 5 days?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the person. Some people can fast, in the beginning, we'll fast them once a month, but I wouldn't, that may be too much autophagy for some. So oftentimes I will do a fasting mimicking diet, which is a partial fast for 5 days. Then the next month, do a water fast. Next month, partial fast. Next month, water fast. So I mix it up. And if you didn't see the video that I did on the fasting mimicking diet, go watch it. I did a whole video on it. So we mix it up. Or sometimes every other month we'll fast somebody. And again, don't forget about the weekly fast. Fasting 1, 2, and 3 days a week. Feast, famine, feast, famine. High protein day, fast day. High protein day, fast day. High carb day, fast day. Eating one meal a day or not even until the next day. Studies show that works better than any diet when you alternate. Why? Hormone optimization via adaptation. When you go feast, famine, you force adaptation. The body wants to survive, and therefore you optimize your hormones, and that's the key to weight loss. So that's what works. Go watch the diet variation video. It's back a couple videos. Next question.
Hey, Chip Graff, yes, I want that testimonial still. And have you done the sea salt today? Because you're saying you still feel terrible, lightheaded. He had concussion, and it really improved from fasting. However, he's just feeling really
Fast
bad
Tonic. Fast Tonic. It's the only product that actually has hydrogen, absorbable hydrogen molecules. The scientists who developed this, brilliant. He holds all the work on this, but it's absorbable hydrogen, which lowers nasty free radicals. And they're responsible for a lot of what you're experiencing. And I would take the bind too, just to see if that helps. And maybe even the cytodetox. So, go for that.
Hi, Bob. Can someone ask also if they could do castor oil packs tonight to pull toxins from the liver?
Is my brother-in-law Bob on here? Well, Bob, you sent me his text. He had a cyst on his ganglion cyst on his foot, like a half of a size of a golf ball. And here he is, day 4 or 5. You might have started one day before, I think maybe 4. But anyways, it's like baby soft now, and it's going away.
And he's a faster. He's been fasting with us.
Yeah, he's been fasting with us. You should hear Bob's testimony. Bob, you really need to write up your testimony.
You should pull him on Cellular Healing TV.
Yeah, see if you can get him on. I'll pull him right now. Forget about that. But I would very much Cellular TV, because Bob had major toxic issues, right?
Gosh.
Bob's probably going, oh my gosh, that was me. He had high blood pressure, some kidney issues, all driven. He spent a lot of time in the mine. He's an engineer. And he got major heavy metals. We started detoxing him, high blood pressure, kidneys, all of it cleaning out. Bob's got his life back. He's back to his high school weight. And Bob has been following me for a while. So Bob, if we can bring you on, invite him on.
He's known you for a while.
Yeah, invite him on. Let's bring a split screen.
You addressed the castor oil packs.
Wait, I didn't address castor oil packs.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, I was saying... Okay, that's where we got stuck. So correct. Can we do castor oil packs at night to pull the toxin?
Absolutely, yeah. Castor oil packs have a pulling component to them. So yeah, absolutely. Especially lymph nodes, we use them for blocked breast ducts. You can put them on your liver. I mean, all of it.
Okay. Let's see what else.
All right.
Yeah, I'm scrolling.
Can you bring Bob on? Let's bring him on.
Bob?
Bob, it was funny. He sent me a text. Y'all will get a kick out of this. If I had my phone, which is over there, I would read you the text. But he gave me, basically all these amazing things that were happening. And Bob's fasted, like I said, several times. He does everything I teach. The ketosis, diet variation. But he said, Dan, I'm so proud of you. You've come a long way since you broke the train. Now, what you have to understand is Bob and my sister Denise were babysitting me. I was the youngest one, in our family. My sister Denise, who Bob married, is the oldest. She's about 10 years older than me. And so they were babysitting me, and I was whipping the train around. And of course, I'm sure they were saying, "You're going to break it." It flies off the track and hits the wall. And anyways, I was so worried that I was going to get in trouble, so I called my mom and I said, "Mom, I broke the train."
Oh gosh, Simon.
So they still make fun of me for that to this day.
That's what Simon would do.
Yeah. So, but they make fun of me the way I said it, because I was going, "Mom, I broke the train." So right now, Bob's dying, because that I will never live that down.
Among other things.
I was a spaz when I was a kid. Anyway, let's
Simon.
bring Bob on. Yes, Simon. Yeah.
Have noticed more postnasal drip and swallowing mucus during fast.
That's
Is there
that's
a way
detox.
to cure this? It's always been there, but it seems more noticeable now.
That's detox. One of the things I would do is there's a product, Restore, that actually is one of the products in the list of products you can take. You can squirt it. They have a nasal spray, and you can squirt it in the nose. What it does is it's a redox molecule for good bacteria. This is a microbiome, just like your gut. And again, toxins probably are the bigger issue, but that will give you at least some temporary relief. Look for cavitations. The gal behind the phone right there, she had a cavitation, 2 on her upper left and upper right, and she had a sinus issue that was draining to the point where she got a wound in her nose that would not heal, to the point where we were concerned because it wasn't healing. And I asked her, "What side did you eat your wisdom teeth out?" And she said her right, but she doesn't know her left and right. So
That's
it
Simon.
was the left. It was the left. We did a cone beam x-ray. Please go watch episode 210 on Cellular Healing TV. It's called The Mouth-Body Connection. I interviewed Dr. Jerry Curatola. He's the dentist that's on Dr. Oz a lot. But we talked about cavitations, chronic sinus infections, a lot of chronic pain. Matter of fact, Marilee's pain in her neck released shortly after that, and the trap pain is starting to release because this wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, Jerry
but
did my
all
work.
of her sinus. You should have seen her cone beam x-ray. That's how you see these cavitations. It had almost a centimeter of inflammation in it. And since then, now the nose is healed after got rid of the cavitation. So
Yeah, it's even better when I don't ride behind you mountain biking.
go
I'm not
upstream.
eating your dust.
Yeah, exactly. Go upstream to the cause. There's always a cause to things like that, to most things. That's
Okay,
like this.
someone else said, I believe Walter Longo said that for addressing autoimmune issues, 7 days for a fast is the key. Could you please speak to this?
Yeah, listen, I like 5 days because you just maximize things. 7 days, I tell people many times, go longer if you can. I just told someone that in an email today. Go 7 days if you can. So many of you may choose to go longer. Absolutely. And there is absolutely no problem with that. I prefer doing multiple fasts because I believe each fast people get better and better and more healing, and it's more obtainable. But many of you, no doubt, if you feel good to go 7 days, go 7 days. And I wouldn't disagree with Walter on that. You're going to get more autophagy, starve down those hyperactive immune cells. And that's the key, right? Autophagy gets rid of the immune cells that are older, they're hyperreactive, oversensitive, right? So they're creating inflammation. By the way, most of the inflammation that makes us not feel good, it's driven by our own bodies. Toxins cause this hyperimmunity, and it drives the inflammation. So I didn't even get into that. But most of the inflammation, low-grade inflammation that makes us age prematurely and have age-related diseases, is driven by our own body and mostly from toxins. But fasting gets rid of those overactive cells, and then the stem cells create more naive white blood cells that aren't overreactive, and that's why it does so well with autoimmune.
Should someone who's type 2 diabetic continue to take insulin? Yes. Absolutely. Talk to your doctor.
Talk to your doctor, because you're going to need to change that, because when fasting you need so much less. You have to talk to your doctor.
If it's higher above 100, not dangerous, but just too high for the best autophagy ratio.
Yeah, and I don't like to talk about medications. That's not why I'm here. So, but you need to talk to your doctor about that, because no matter what, you need less.
I thought we didn't have to take bind. You don't.
No, you don't
take bind.
No.
Which
You
I
don't.
didn't.
We're talking about, remember, this whole conversation, I haven't taken bind at all, because I feel completely normal and good. But this whole conversation came out of the people who were not feeling well, hitting those numbers, remember? And even when their numbers were okay, they still didn't feel well. That was that whole conversation.
Why would someone do a water diet, a water fast, when they could just do a fasting mimicking diet? It sounds like you accomplished the same thing.
Well, I mean, a water fast, you're getting more autophagy. You are. You're getting higher stem cells. You know, and clinically, I can speak, right? I've been doing this a long time, coaching doctors. All of my doctors resoundingly would tell you, water fasting is more powerful. We still use fasting mimicking diet as a tool. But because we use both, and we use both all the time, all of my doctors, 100% of them would say, oh yeah, no doubt, water fasting is more powerful. So there it is clinically. And there's never been a study side by side, but clinically we can tell you that.
What is your opinion on natto, N-A-T-T-O, fermented soybeans for breaking fast?
Yeah, good. Absolutely. Great. Fermented vegetables, we'll talk about. Fermented dairies, as long as you're getting good dairy, is actually really good as well.
My ketones are 6.8, glucose is 51, but I still feel low energy.
That's what we were talking about, right? There it is. You're feeling low energy because your brain is still not using the ketones efficiently. Each fast, that gets better and better. All the diet variation stuff that I teach, it's going to get better and better. So
Chip Bind is at revelationhealth.com. It's a systemic formulas product.
Yeah.
Can you still do an enema without a gallbladder?
And by the way, the toxic issue could be why you don't feel well as well. Toxins are creating some inflammation. Try the Bind, the Fast Tonic, and the Cyto. See what that does.
Can you do a coffee enema without a gallbladder?
Yeah, because your liver makes the bile, and the bile still gets caught up, so absolutely.
Okay. I still feel worse today than any time in a long time.
Hang in there.
Yeah.
All that toxic talk, that applies to you. But, each fast, the healing happens. Marilee, tell your story a little bit, because my wife, who you see, she looks amazing, amazing health. She could not get into ketosis. And the first time I ended up, after 3 months, she was kind of getting in, but it really wasn't happening for her, and she didn't feel good. She wasn't producing very high ketones at all, so this was ketosis. Now, we took her out and went higher healthy carbs, and 3 months later, maybe, we put her back into ketosis, and she actually got much higher numbers. We did that several times. That was one of the things that really I started discovering, the power of diet variation. Moving people in and out of different diets creates the adaptation. She got more metabolically fit as we switched diets each time. And now we've duplicated that with many, many people, myself and my doctors, and we realize that that's how you get people to break through weight loss resistance. You have to change their diet. I mean, all the diets out there, the T-Rex diet, the super carb diet, the vegan diet, the vegetarian, the paleo diet, the ketosis diet, they're all right. The key isn't in the diet, it's in the switch. So, and then Marilee has also taken it where she does high carb days, high protein days, or low fasting days where she eats nothing. So the variation has made her an efficient fat burner.
Yeah, I haven't eaten yet today. I went for a mountain bike ride for 10 miles. That was my first 5-mile climb of the season, so I am like blah. But my ketones are 1.1, and I just tested, and my glucose is like 77. But
well, here's the thing. She
eat.
went and ate at our favorite Italian restaurant, ate all of these carbs the other night. I didn't eat anything. I drank water. Anyways,
smelled wine, drank water.
But her ketones in the morning probably would have been 0.2. What were they in the afternoon?
I think they were
0.8.
Yeah, they were
0.8.
Like 0.8.
Yeah, she was 0.8 in the afternoon. So all those carbs, she's so metabolically flexible that In the morning, she wasn't in ketosis, but by the afternoon, she was in ketosis.
Yeah, and that, by the way, that happens every day now.
Right, but that's only because she's earned this. She's very metabolically flexible. She doesn't stay in low carb. She's in and out, moves in and out. If she stayed in low carb, it wouldn't do well. She would start losing her muscle, and she would start, gaining fat, and she would start not feeling well. Her hormones would start not being as well. The key is the variation.
Yeah, no, and now you've told me to maybe
more feast days.
Right. So I'm doing like every other day. I'm doing a dinner to dinner, and then I'm eating more. And if I get really hungry, I'm going to eat. I don't really weigh myself. I don't count calories. I have never done any of that. That's just not my thing. And if I'm really hungry, I'm going to eat. I try to really listen to my body for the most part. I mean, unless I'm really busy and I'm hungry, then I'll just put it off. But I'm fit for
50s.
50.
But here's the thing
50,
too.
not 50s.
This, I'm 50s. Yeah, she's 50. Sorry. This is what she went through. My wife had very high lead that actually disrupted her hormones terribly. She actually had a class 4, I believe they call it, where it's one step from cancer in her cervix. And of course, they recommended the typical thing. And that was years ago. And that's actually where I was just learning about fasting and studying fasting and being schooled in fasting. And we fasted her, and it went away.
I did 10 days.
Yeah, she did 10-day fast. So there you go for the longer fast for more serious conditions.
I think I got another PAP every 3 months, and it took time. I mean, it took a year to clear up, but it got better. Each one improved.
Yeah.
So,
but anyway, but she had massive lead issues. I mean, off the chart, and so cellular detox, changed her life, no doubt, just like mine. All right, one more question.
Would you please tell us how we're going to talk about breaking the fast tomorrow? Right? Yeah.
So,
and then there are past videos on that, by the way. So
but we're going to do that tomorrow evening, because most of you are going to be breaking the fast tomorrow evening. So hang in there. Let me give you some advice if you're breaking it like you're on East Coast and your videos after. Make your first meal a very small meal. Okay, an avocado, half of an avocado. You can put a little bit of olive oil on it and some fermented vegetables. Okay. And how about some berries? You could eat little berries in some organic grass-fed yogurt. That would also be another starter meal. So that could be your first meal. We'll talk about the rest tomorrow. Okay.
And it's not too late to convert to a dry fast. If you're not hungry, you're not thirsty, you can do it now. Yeah,
dry fast 3-to-1 autophagy.
Let me see. How close together? Bind is a binder, so you have to keep it away from everything. We typically say an hour and a half.
Yeah, I mean, but on a fast, you're not eating. So, but if you are eating, take it. If you're going to take it an hour away from things, supplements. And if you take bind, if you have thyroid medication, you have to take it hours away because it will bind it. So you could mess that up. But anyways, you want to take it away from supplements for at least an hour.
Benefit to autophagy by extending the fast more than 5 days.
Yeah, I believe so. Absolutely. You're going to keep it going. So do it.
All right.
We do the 5-day because we hit that max spike, meaning, that's kind of when everything happens, and it could continue to go up from there for sure. And there is a limit, but I think that clinically, I can speak because I don't have a study to say it, but clinically, some people definitely will benefit more from longer fasts, more autophagy.
Yeah, okay. Everything else, you guys can find that stuff on the videos, the past videos too.
All right, guys, see you tomorrow night. How to break the fast. Congratulations. Tomorrow's your big max stem cell day. So this was max autophagy day. See you tomorrow.
Good night.